Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Jody from Yoga by the Lake, and today I will be doing a very special review on a yoga sequence that's for after you've been horseback riding. It is titled Yoga Stretches for Equestrians, a Lower Body Deep Stretch by Yoga with Kassandra. This was a very valid, incredibly necessary practice for me today. If you know anything about me and what I've been doing over the past few months, we recently adopted a horse, so I am training my horse in riding, which means I'm schooling him, which is a little different than if you maybe take a lesson on a school horse already knows how to ride with a rider on top. That's a little bit different. I'm actually teaching my horse how to balance, how to start, how to stop, where to go, how to communicate. So it has been a absolutely gorgeous journey. I'm learning so much. He's learning so much. We're getting so close and so bonded, and it's beautiful. However, it's extremely exhausting, and my body is all sorts of ouchy, especially in my hips, my inner thighs, my outer thighs, my spine, my neck, on and on and on. Today, I wanted a practice that was going to help me recover even quicker, and I think I found it with this one. So just a little bit about me. I'm a 200-hour certified teacher. I have a whole alphabet soup worth of certifications. I have my own yoga studio, my own yoga practice, and my own clients. So when I review these practices that I find online and through YouTube, know that it is from the lens of gentle yoga, restorative, and a recovery-based modality. So that's just the only lens I'm looking through. I'm not here to hurt anybody's feelings. I am just simply here to practice the sequence that has been provided and add my feedback as an instructor who has her own clients, and I know what they're looking for. They're looking to restore and feel better and recover. So without further ado, let's begin.
A yoga class with stretches that you can do after riding. This summer, I started taking riding lessons, and I'm doing it 3 times a week now. I am completely obsessed, and it's a little bit of everything. And let me tell you, my saving grace has been yoga. So I'm going to take you through what I do pretty much every single time when I get home from the barn. As you probably know, if you take lessons and ride often, it can really take a toll on your legs, on your back, on your shoulders. I mean, it really works your entire body. So this is a great class. You don't need a lot of time. You don't need any props. It will help you improve flexibility in the long run. And also it's going to alleviate any soreness that you might have. So the floor is nice. You can hold on to your ankles or to your toes, bending your elbows away from one another, just getting into those hamstrings.
Something I really appreciated about this practice was how slow the transitions were, how it was really focused on recovery after a ride or an intense workout where we're deeply getting into the bottom part of the body, the legs, the hips, the psoas, the hamstrings. And I really appreciated that, because not every practice will go this slowly to really let the body heal and recover the way that it was built to.
Center, just lift up a little bit, and you're going to toe heel your feet a little bit wider than your hips. Heels in, toes out. Again, just a deeper variation of our squat. This is probably the pose that I do the most after riding.
I agree. Malasana squat after riding is one of my favorites to do. It's in pretty much everything that I teach every time I come to the mat. The only difference is here, and I know she said this before, that you don't need any blocks or additional props. For me, I always key this with allowing the idea of having props supporting the hips, especially if there's some frailty in there or just really a ton of tiredness. So I would have said, grab a block if that feels more supportive, or even a pillow underneath the hips for Malasana squat. If you haven't tried that and it's something you want to explore, I highly encourage it. It can help you feel a lot more stable and secure.
If you've been riding properly with your heels down, this should feel maybe painful, but good in the long run. So you want to tuck your toes under and let your hips rest on your heels. So if you've just gone riding, I know for me right after, this is like sometimes excruciating. Maybe you're feeling okay. You can always take some of the weight out by keeping your hands and your fingers on the mat.
So really good modification here. I love how she gives us that little bit of an insight into her life. Like, woof, this is a big one for me. There's a lot of sensations. If it's sharp in shooting, back off. That's always the case. If it's something that you can get curious about, if it's a sensation that you're like, ooh, this is intense, but I can stay here and breathe through it, then that's great. Stay there and breathe through it, but keep listening to your body, right? If you think immediately excruciating, back right off. Sensations are fine. That sharp and shooting pain, we don't want to play there.
Let's come forward into our Sphinx pose. So you're going to slide all the way onto your belly.
Sphinx pose is nothing that I would have immediately thought to add to a practice after riding, because when I'm riding, I think like I open up through the chest so much to try to get that nice length and that rolled down shoulder as I'm riding that I wouldn't necessarily think, oh, let's do it again after, but I understand why. After doing it and practicing it, I said, oh yeah, I understand why, because we're coming back to that really nice posture that we had on the horse in the saddle. The only difference here is I would have said maybe just to drop the head forward and just allow for this more yin type quality through the back of the neck after holding such posture while you're riding. I do like that there's a quad stretch in here. That was really fun. I did feel a little bit of a pinch in the spine. She said if you felt that, you could lay down. So that was a great modification. Just all around really nice, really beautiful postures throughout this practice.
And let's release, push back up onto hands and knees, and we'll come into what is called equestrian pose. So of course, it's a great one for us to do. You're gonna step your right foot forward in between your palms to the top of your mat, and you can just keep your fingertips down on the floor. So
my goodness, lizard pose. Well, first we started in this low lunge where we're just releasing the hip forward. And then she says, go a step further if you want and try lizard. Without my blocks, this was intense. You can see my face. I'm just trying to breathe through it, experience the sensation. Holy cannoli. It definitely wasn't one I would have said, oh yeah, that makes sense. But when she said, oh, equestrian pose, I was like, I learned something today. That was pretty good. So this was intense. If you do ride, if you're interested in riding, this one, yeah, do it, because I feel so much better after this practice. And this posture definitely had a key part to play in that.
And we'll lift all the way back up, step it back into your tabletop pose. And now from here, let's come into a half saddle pose, again with the knee.
So half saddle, this is a very intense stretch. There's a lot going on here. When I work on this posture or full saddle, half saddle or full saddle with my clients, I feel that a lot of fear bubbles up. So a way that I work around that is, one, we don't hold it for very long. We kind of explore and play into this posture. There's a lot going on here. I didn't expect it to be in this practice. I like that it is, because I love this posture personally. The thigh is getting this really intense stretch. You're also leaning backwards, so the spine is playing in this stretch. There's a lot going on here. One thing that helps when I start to guide people through this is using props. So I'll put a blanket underneath the hips. We'll use a bolster or maybe two and place it behind the spine, and maybe even a couple of blocks to support the head. This makes this posture way more attainable. If you've ever struggled with this posture, then those are some things that you can play with. And if you want to take a class with me, we can absolutely go through that at some point. This is just a really nice one that's in here. I love that it was in here. Full saddle is one of my favorites. The half saddle was appropriate, I believe, because we're working both sides of the body. And again, that full saddle is really intense.
Right foot is flat to the floor. Bring that left foot in next to your glute. You want the top of your foot to be pushing into the mat. Left thigh is parallel to the longer edge of your mat. Lift and tuck under. Then lay back down on your tailbone, on your sacrum, and start to find your position, your edge. Push that left hip down. Notice how it wants to lift and roll to the side. And try to keep pressing your left knee into the mat, even if you choose to lower down all the way. Ideally, these are the types of stretches you would do on a regular basis, not just after your ride. And you'll probably notice it's really different. So it's morning for me. I was not riding before recording this, so I have a lot more ease and opening in the poses. Whereas if I've just been riding, muscles will be tighter, you'll be a little bit more stiff, a little bit more sore, so you might not be stretching quite as deep. So it's really nice if you can do this regularly to observe the differences. Stretch.
Yes, absolutely. From moment to moment, from day to day, things are going to feel different depending on what your body has been through. So I love butterfly. Look at my face. Oh, ouch. Ouch. That was a sensation and a half. You can see I'm struggling through it. I'm breathing. I'm activating all of that beautiful pranayama that I teach and that I love to do. And I'm getting curious about the sensation. I love butterfly posture. I'll use it all the time in my practices and when I'm teaching, and it's something I do regularly. But after a ride, holy cow, are you asking for some sensation? So I'm glad it was in there. I definitely felt better after this whole practice.
Same thing to the other side. Right hand to your left knee, left hand back. All the way back to neutral. Thank you so very much for doing this stretchy practice with me. I really would love to hear from you.
It wasn't really make or break that there wasn't any Shavasana in this particular sequencing because it was really a post-ride or post-workout kind of routine that they're using asana in order to move things out of the body and deal with stiffness. It was a very particular and precise type of practice. Overall, I think that my clients would love this. I think they would really enjoy it. Like I said, a few props would be necessary. And other than that, I think that if you practice with me or somebody else with props and using them appropriately, you can do pretty much any practice. It's really nice that way. The only other thing I would add is that yoga and horseback riding have a lot in common, not just the physicality, but the philosophy. So I think this would have been really nice, and I don't know how this person has evolved in their practice since starting taking lessons with horses, but it would have been nice to hear just a little bit of those nuggets of yoga philosophy kind of dripped in along with the practice as it relates to horses and having that relationship with horses. Because if you work with horses, then you know it's a spiritual communication. It's all about give and take, understanding, letting go of control in the right times, being a support in the other times. It's really interesting. So I would have loved to see and hear those little anecdotes of how yoga philosophy connects with equestrian work and horsemanship. Please go check out Yoga with Kassandra and subscribe to her channel. She is fantastic, and I think that you'd really enjoy what she's doing over there. So thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed my review and want to see more, please subscribe to my channel and of course like this video. Thank you so much. And if you have anything you want to see me review, or maybe some crazy workout that you want me to go take a look at and review, I'd love to do that for you. So leave me a comment. All right, everybody, have a warm and wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you again very soon.